Howdy, and welcome to LeeReads, where I talk about the books I've been reading and enjoying lately. This is my May reading wrap-up. I read a lot in May. Surprising because I was sick for a bit of it. My husband was sick. There was some travel. And I'm also still writing the first draft of my fantasy novel, and all of that together means my brain was just a little bit tired and it was harder for me to focus. I read some great things this month, but just kind of a variety. Particularly what my brain seemed drawn to this month was historical romance. As far as my Lisa Kleypas trying to read all of her backlist, this month I finished the Hathaway Sisters series, which I kind of got stuck on book 2 because I didn't really love like the hero of that story. But I'm glad I finally picked it up and finished it because I really liked a lot of the other characters that we met in books 3 through 5, the other sisters and the people that are coming into their lives. So I actually had a really good time with the Hathaway Sisters. I also read a new to me historical romance author who is currently writing and has published books 2 out of 3 in her A Duke in Disguise series, and I thought those were really humorous and quite fun as well, and now I'm eagerly awaiting book 3. But aside from the historical romance, what else did I read? I made progress on some other goals. Do you know how long His Majesty's Dragon has been on my TBR? It's been a while. It's been years. Set in like Napoleonic War times, and the main characters are English, but the interesting historical difference here is that dragons exist and they are somewhat domesticated and they are used. There's like an aerial corps. And the main character, Lawrence, was originally a naval man. They captured a French ship that had a dragon egg, and he winds up kind of bonding to this dragon, and it drastically changes everything. Like, as far as society is considered, the aerial corps, the aviators, are not as well regarded as like being in the Navy, and so it's like a big change in circumstances for him. But he and his dragon Temeraire begin their career together. They go off and train, meet some other dragons and aviators, and get involved with their first few skirmishes. And it was very sweet as far as like how the dragons are portrayed, especially Temeraire. They're almost like dog-like in their affection for their bonded person, which is great whenever their bonded person really cares for them, and it's very pitiful and sad when they're being a little bit neglected, which does come up in this story. I really liked the historical bent. I loved the fantasy twist with the dragons, and I will pick up the next in the series just to see how far we go. I'm glad I finally read this one, especially because I do really like a lot of what Naomi Novik publishes, and it's been on my shelf for a while. Another big one for me is I read Foxmask by Juliet Marillier. It is the second in the duology behind Wolfskin, which I read last year and was basically my top book of the year. These were written after about 3 of the Seven Waters series books were written, so midway through the Seven Waters series. Foxmask does what Wolfskin did and what Seven Waters series books, particularly Daughter of the Forest, do so well, which is they get you attached to these characters, and the interpersonal stakes become so high, and the things that the characters want, their goals and their desires, you can really understand like why they're striving for that, but yet they're at odds with other people that they care about. That particular type of scenario was set up so well in Foxmask. It is taking place a generation after Wolfskin, and in this story, our 2 main characters go on a fairly reckless quest. Thorvald has grown up without a father, learns the truth about who he is and what happened, which all relates back to Wolfskin, and goes on this quest to find him. He feels as though he will never be able to meet his true destiny if he doesn't know who his father is. And with the stories that are told about his father, he feels like he needs to kind of confront that and conquer that. But the place where his father theoretically is very dangerous to reach. And our other main character, his childhood friend Cray, decides to sneak aboard the ship and go with him because she wants to support him. And what they find in this place is not what is to be expected. And as they start to try to help the people that they find there, and they learn about their troubles and why they're happening, they start to kind of fall perhaps on different sides of this conflict. And I can't really say much more than that, other than, like, especially the second half of this book. Oh, my heart was in my throat. Juliet Miller just does that to me. As a duology, I highly recommend these two. I probably will do a separate video on them. But that was Foxmask. I also made great progress this month in the Veronica Speedwell series. I read book 4 and I've basically finished book 5. In the audiobook, I have less than an hour to go and I will finish it today. So I will have finished book 4 and book 5. And the sad thing is now there's no more audiobooks. I guess they stopped making them after book 5, but there are several more books in the series. Thankfully, my library has them, so I'll be able to continue on. But I really did enjoy listening to the audiobook version of them. The last book that I want to touch on that I read this month was a contemporary romance, Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I recently read her Part of This World trilogy. I think she does she does what I want with contemporary romance, which is it's not just physical, it's not insta-love, it's not just about the romantic relationship with these characters, but there are other things going on in their lives that they have to deal with. I was a little bit nervous to pick up this one because the main male character is a veterinarian and I'm a veterinarian, and you know how it is when it's like you're seeing your profession portrayed in a certain way, you don't know if it's going to be accurate. I heard about something that this character does in like the opening pages of the books where I was like, that would never actually happen, and all the reviews I've read about it, people love that he did this, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but like no veterinarian I know would actually do what this character did, but whatever. I kind of got over that, and the book itself, it didn't really focus on the veterinary work he did. Essentially, the premise is that he meets this woman. She brings a kitten in with a congenital abnormality that he recommends to be put down, but could be saved with a very, very expensive surgery, and doesn't believe that she'll be able to fundraise the funds to be able to take it to a specialist, but she works in social media marketing. And so they get kind of a rocky start, but the kitten survives, and from there, when she brings it in for a checkup, they both had recognized this attraction to one another. They have an amazing, amazing first date, and then she has to move across the country to help take care of her mother who has dementia. And so it's really a lot of it is like a long distance romance type of story, which I found quite sad. Like they both wanted to be together so much, but had their conflicting responsibilities. I think that took the edge off my enjoyment, where it was so tempered by this distance between them, and that they were both having to deal with these big things going on in their lives and couldn't actually like be together. In my past, I've had to live for months and months apart from my husband, and it's just sad. So I didn't necessarily need to be reminded of those feelings. But overall, I think it was a good book. It was funny. I liked the characters and the relationship, but just be warned, the whole premise itself is sad. So I read a lot of romance in May. I think it was a nice break for my brain when I either was tired and unable to concentrate because I was ill, or I was kind of mentally fatigued from trying to write my book. It was a really nice break compared to some like more complicated plot-wise, like epic stories. But despite that, I was able to read some of my physical TBR, especially books that I had on bingo cards. So I'm really happy with what I read in May. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my random rambles. I am now kind of approaching the home stretch of this draft, which means after that I'm probably going to be able to turn more towards more fantasy again. Yay! Please let me know what your favorite book was that you read this month down below. And as always, don't forget to support your local library. Thanks. Bye.